we've learned that you have to take it step by step. First, you want to learn about the rule, then you want to create a plan on how you're going to implement the rule within your business. And then, lastly, you would implement the rule and get all those steps into action. So currently, Church Brothers is in the implementation process of creating that detailed plan, traceability plan, and also communicating with our customers as to what the requirements are going to be when it comes to the data sharing. So we are in step 2 if we take it into a 3-step stage, and we should be in compliance by the January 2026 final date. So we will be using a reference. Our plan is to provide our customers with a link where they can contact us directly if they require additional or more detailed information for traceability. This is a two reason for that. So it gives you a bit of control of your information, although you have the KDEs that you have to share as soon as you're shipping our product to our end user. But we feel that you still want to have some sense of control of the information that you're going to share. So having a link for our customers to contact us directly, we're going to be more than happy to share that information. But this is a 2-step where you have control of your information, you have your customer verification at the same time. So internally, we will be able to have a log of who's contacting us, the reason why they're contacting us, especially if there is a regulatory investigation. You're going to be aware of it as soon as they reach out to you. We will only be creating one plan. All of the information that is required based on the FDA information. We want to create a document that's straight to the point, concise, because the more information you have on a document, you might have room for, gaps or errors when it comes to actually being in some type of regulatory investigation. So straight to the point, one document. That is a suggestion from, our end. But as actual implementation, we will only have one traceability plan. That is the first thing that you want to do once you research what your business is, the structure from start to finish. That way you have a concise document of accurate information of what you're actually doing, what you're going to do now that you're going to implement FSMA 204. So that's ready because some of your customers are going to require that document for them to ensure that you do have FSMA 204 implemented. So that will be one of the first things after we plan out phase per phase of what we're going to be doing for full implementation. So yeah. First advice would be take it step by step. Learn as much as possible about the rule. There's many resources available out there, but definitely taking it step by step. Know your customers that you serve. Work with your sales department, work with your IT department. Also share the information with other departments amongst the company. So for example, we are planning on doing a series of presentations about FSMA 204. This could include receiving, production. It can include our harvesting department, a sales department. So the more people are aware of FSMA 204, the better you're going to have chances of success of, a smooth implementation. The second advice would be, just be straight and concise with your customers. Communicate with them, ask them questions. Don't wait for them to the last minute to reach out to you as far as what you're going to be doing with FSMA 204. Like I mentioned earlier, make a list of your customers, reach out to them. What are you working on for FSMA 204 implementation? Because the more aware you are of what your customers are going to do, and the more detailed you are with each department that's going to be affected by FSMA 204 within your business, the more success you're going to have of, being ready by that January 20th, 2026 date.
I really appreciate that answer, and reaching out to customers and asking them what they need, because a lot of times what will happen is a retailer will send out a letter and, okay, we have to be compliant in 30 days, which just makes it a little more rushed than I think any of us like. Of course, we will always do whatever it takes to meet a deadline, but I think being proactive is a great idea and key to having a really robust, solid solution.
And it could be a simple survey that you send to them, because that's what our customers are currently doing. We've received a few surveys, like I mentioned earlier, I believe, a few assessments, and even a short 15-minute conference call with them if they are available. That really takes a big step into you being very proactive, and I believe that's what we're currently doing here at Church Brothers.
So what we did at Famous Software is we actually created a FSMA steering committee with 6 of our largest customers, Church Brothers being one, Ocean Mist, C.H. Robinson, Veg Fresh, Mucci, and those customers that we have regular meetings with on the steering committee are helping us to understand what their customers are requiring from them, because the legislation is one thing. What retailers and food service providers are going to require could be something different. And we obviously saw that with the Produce Traceability Initiative. What the initiative was and what we ended up doing with it were sometimes 2 different things. And so we're very mindful of what is the legislation, but also what are our customers hearing from their customer base, to make sure that we are as responsive as we can be and we are supplying their partners with the appropriate information that they want. One of the things that we've also noticed is that we have a traceability report in Famous that shows everything upstream and downstream that has happened with a particular product. We queried our customers and their customer base of, if there was a mock recall, for example, what sort of data elements would we want on this report? And of course, Costco is different from Walmart, is different than Kroger in some of those instances. And so what we did with our traceability report that already exists is we put the major columns onto the screen when it prints to screen, but you can right click and save it as an Excel file, and we expand. I mean, there's dozens of columns, because we wanted it to be something that was flexible for customers so they could meet each of those retailers' requirements with all the data that was in Famous and do with it what they will. So we will probably enhance that again as we learn more about the requirement. It's very similar to what is kind of the sample that everybody has seen for the report that needs to be produced within 24 hours. So really flexible and basically ready to go. Traceability is really a cornerstone of our Famous ERP platform, which includes PTI, the Produce Traceability Initiative, was something that we undertook when the need was required by our customer base. And so because of that, there's not much that we have to do for FSMA compliance. There are maybe a couple data fields that we will need to add and populate for customers as needed. We already have a traceability report that customers currently use that has most of the data. We'll probably add a couple columns to that to make it easier for customers to report when they're required. But because the platform is a fully integrated ERP system, traceability is just inherent in what we already provide to our customer base. Being responsive to the industry is something that's very critical to us and really one of our pillars at Famous Software. So whether that's PTI or blockchain with Walmart or now FSMA, we feel like it's our responsibility as a partner in the industry to support our customers with those initiatives. I think it's really about the data and how they want to define that data, and to Arlene's point, how are we going to produce that to send to a retailer or food service provider when requested? Again, we have to be very flexible because we have all different commodity groups and all different regions that want to track things differently. And so having something that's configurable and they can decide what field do they want to use for a lot code, for example, and not have to customize a report from Famous Software. It's really about creating a deliverable that will satisfy all of our customer base and support compliance with FSMA 204. It really comes down to what our customers say that is required. And again, being very responsive to those needs. Everybody seems to want something a little bit different. So I think one is making sure that we have the data. And then the second piece of that is how are we going to transmit it? I really do believe that electronic transmission is going to be the way that the supply chain is going to manage all of this data, because it is a lot of data. And although the Excel spreadsheet might be what the legislation says is required, we do believe a lot of it will be coming through a palletized ASN so that retailers ensure that they have the data necessary if required versus waiting for an Excel spreadsheet.
It's also very important for you as a supplier to ask questions to your end user, how they will be receiving the data, how will they be keeping the record keeping of the data, because in the event of a regulatory investigation, you want to be aware how this customer is going to be able to provide the information to the regulatory agency, because it's your company might potentially be involved in an investigation. So asking questions to your end user is very important. I think with FSMA 204, having that interaction, a closer interaction with your customers is very important, because you're going to be sharing data that you might not have been sharing before, and now they're going to have access to that data, and making sure how they're keeping that data is really important. From the Church Brothers side, since we are directly affected by FSMA 204, we've been getting a lot of inquiries. We've been very proactive in learning about the rule, any resource available. We're there basically, and from previous communication, it's we want to be ready. We want to make sure that our customers are ready as well. So it's not only us waiting for them to reach out, but it's us also taking the initiative to contact and have that close communication. So from our end, since we're specifically affected, we've been getting a lot of information and a lot of inquiries about FSMA 204, especially because some of our customers are not only going by the FTL list, they're just saying, we're not going to go just by the FTL. We're going to apply it to all of the commodities that you supply to us. And that's going to depend on your business too. Are you going to implement FSMA 204 all across anything that you supply, or are you going to go specific based on that FTL list? So, and that's a business decision. But it's for us, it's a lot of action that we're happening right now, especially because you have customers that want to be ready by the end of 2024. They don't want to wait until January 20th. And which is good because it leaves you room for improvement. It leaves you room for getting more information as new information becomes available. So it's for us, it's a lot of action going on right now.
I keep using Costco as an example because that is a real life example that's happening right now with the palletized ASN. They expect it for everything, every single order that ships. So it's not commodity specific. Mm-hmm. So for our customers, if they do have a commodity that falls into the categories for FSMA, they're capturing that data for every commodity regardless. There's one way to do it. Now, whether it's required or not is another question, but it's all there if they need it to be. And that's just how we track all the detail in the famous system. And then you're never wondering if you're doing it right for broccoli and different for a red bell pepper. it's all one way. That level of discipline is a better plan that works well across the board.
I would say be very proactive. Be very proactive and ask a lot of questions, not only internally but with your customers as well. The more you know about the other end user process of their implementation, the better you're going to be prepared to. Because let's not lose the focus of FSMA 204 is to be more faster when it comes to an outbreak investigation or also actual illnesses that are happening. So be very proactive, communicate internally and with your end user, and take a step by step. We say we might have until January 20th, 2026, but time flies. So taking a detailed step by step implementation plan should be the best for you to have success within your business.
I concur with Arlene that being proactive will ultimately lead all of us to a better solution to support the industry. So I think that is a great suggestion. And for us, we really partner with our customers and want to help them through this process. And so calling our support department, we have 20 people that answer phone calls, emails, a customer portal that they can ask questions, really being a partner that can help them implement a solution regardless of the commodity size or complexity of that customer. We want to help answer questions that they may have. And so that's really important for us is reaching out to us so that we can help assist when questions arise.